All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom. It is a few hours after the market closed, and I just wanted to talk about the day. Hey, JJT. Oh, sorry, it's late where you are. Yeah, I always forget that when I do a later stream. So I've been messing around with what time to stream, so throughout this stream, I might be asking people to just drop like a comment as to what time they think is best for them to watch a live stream. Like, I like to jump on right when the market ends and talk about what happened, but I know a lot of people are at work and that kind of stuff, and that's not necessarily a good time for them. Just getting set up. So I want to talk about a bunch of stuff. Today was about oil and gold in my mind. So, you know, our channel, we focus a lot on the Bitcoin miners, so I will definitely talk about the Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin. But that is not what's ruling the market right now. And my machine's being slow, so that'll come up in a minute. Actually, I got that right here. Gold's over $2,000. So there's two things that happened today that have not happened in a long, long time. Number one, oil is actually, it hit 130 at one point. It's at $125 a barrel right now. So it's been years since it's been at that, and it's in a very volatile situation. And gold is over $2,000. So, and silver actually was up quite a bit today. I think the day just reset on the trading view that I use. So this is not reflecting today's action. Gold and silver were up quite a bit today. And gold is at, I'm just going to go to the, how far back? Oh, I'm on 30 minutes. Let me get to the one-day chart. There we go. So you see, the last time gold was here was August of 2020. So that was almost a year and a half ago, and I think that's the only time it's ever been here. Right, if I keep going back. Oh, hold on. We got some more action. Yeah, it's just down from there. So this is really only the second time gold's ever been over 2,000. You know, gold over a long term has not been a fantastic performer, but it is definitely a gigantic sign. We got world stuff going on right now, and the fear is at a maximum. The VIX is high. You'll see the VIX is at 35. That is high. That's kind of like a magic number. 35 is high, and it can get higher, but that's severe volatility, and you see people fleeing into gold and into silver's actually even doing better than gold. But if you track all of the indexes and all the precious metals and all the cryptocurrencies, really right now gold, silver, and oil are the best three investments of 2022 so far. So I hope that that is not true at the end of the year, because that means we had a very tough year. But at the moment, that's what's going on. Gold and silver are up over 10% this year. All the indexes are down in correction territory or bear market territory. And the cryptocurrencies aren't doing any better. Ethereum is down. It's in bear territory. It's down 20 or 25%. Bitcoin's at 38,700. So, you know, that's low for where it's been over the past months, really over the past year. So we have on Thursday, we have the CPI numbers. So the last 3 weeks in a row, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday have been the good days, and then Thursday, Friday have been, especially Friday, has been a train wreck. So I feel like that setup is happening again, because today actually was, for me, for my portfolio, and for anybody who follows the channel, if you look at we have a 10K challenge. So the 10K challenge had one of its best days ever today. So, you know, for me, it was a good day, but all around, it was not a great day. I mean, the indexes were down. Let's see, the S&P was down 0.7, the Dow was down 0.56, the NASDAQ was down 0.28. So the NASDAQ's the one that's been getting pummeled lately, and it was down over 3% yesterday, and over 3% is a massive, massive move. So the Russell was up 0.6. At one point, the Russell, this was a very, I'm just going to go, well, you can, let me jump into the chart. This was a volatile day. Get to the 1 day. Yeah, so you can see it was like, I mean, we were up here, then we were down here, then we were up here, and then we were back down. So this was all day today. The market could not make up its mind. I went to lunch, and everything was awful. I got back from lunch, and my portfolio was up big. And I'm like, well, what happened? And then, of course, the second I got back from lunch, it started going down for the rest of the day. So it was that kind of day. But I want to show you a few of the things. Like, obviously, we look at... if I look at the Bitcoin miners, and I'll go back to the Bitcoin chart. Just give me a second here. So this orange line right here was the close yesterday. This is where Bitcoin was when the market closed at 4 o'clock yesterday. So you can see, I mean, Bitcoin had a decent day. It's up about 3%, so that's not bad. And the Bitcoin miners, a lot of them had a very good day. Hey, Eric, how are you? I know, the market was making me crazy today. It actually ended up very good for me, and I know a bunch of people in the Discord actually had a really good day too. Somebody mentioned they had their best day ever today. So it just depended what you were in, but I know a lot of the stocks that I've talked about on this channel, like today was their day for whatever reason. I'm going to go through some of those because it was outrageous numbers on a day that was pretty much a red day. But Bitcoin was up. But it's not back to where it was. This orange line is where Bitcoin was on Friday. So, you know, it was up 3% today, and that's good. And the miners rallied, but it's still not back to where we were on Friday. And we're still trading in, I mean, we're trading in a very tight range here with Bitcoin. And this is a wall. I have this purple line here that basically... we are trading sideways, and we have been all year. I want to go back to January 1st for a second. Let me go to the 1 day. All right, so this is January 1st. So from the 1st till kind of the 5th, we had a big downswing. Since January 5th, I mean, I can just draw a box. Like, since January 5th, 95% of the time we've been in this trading box right here. And if I zoom out, you'll see this is a very small window. And it's low. So, you know, this was September. So this was the September low when Bitcoin hit about 39,000. This was the July low when Bitcoin hit 29,000. And, you know, we got up to 69,000 here. So most of these miners have not caught up to where they were back on this red line. So this red line and this purple line right here tend to be the key lines. And I'm going to zoom back in to just show you why I say that. Let me get rid of this box. So basically, since we went below this on January 5th, we have not we have not been able to break this line. So we tested it several times. We have failed. And, you know, now we're even in a tighter trading range between these two orange lines at the moment for the last several days. So we're very sideways. But, you know, one of the things I was talking about is I'm a little bit encouraged that we're sideways because, you know, the market has not been sideways. So for Bitcoin to be sideways, at least it's not trading exactly in tandem with the market. And I'd like to see that start to separate. I know we all would. Eric saying Arrow is doing well. And James Dean says touchdown Tommy has become turnover Tommy. All right. Yeah. Not today. A lot of touchdowns today. So I'll kind of go through the 10K portfolio. And like I said, today, like the stars aligned. It was just everything was up huge in the portfolio. So you guys know CleanSpark's one of my biggest positions. So that was up 10.9%. Bitfarms is one of my big positions. That was up 3%. That's not a huge day, but it's green. And Hut was green. Core was up 14. Core Scientific was up over 14%. So that was a huge day. So really the two we have are Core Scientific and CleanSpark. Those had big days. But that's not even really where the good stuff came in. It was the small cap EV stocks. I feel like, and I've been saying this, and I've put a bunch of videos out lately, the small cap EV stocks are turning around. They have gotten beaten down badly over time, and they're down 70, 80, 90%, but I think they have hit I feel like they've all found a nice line of support, and they're rebounding. So in the 10K challenge, we have Arrow, which was up 16% today. We have XL Fleet, which was also up 16% today. And then Volta is our newest addition. So we just added that on Friday, and that was up almost 10%. Beam is not in the 10K challenge, but you guys know that's one of my big positions personally. That was up over 13%. So it was just one of those days. Like Solo, I've done several videos on, but I no longer own it. It was up 11%. Blink was up 8%. Helion was up 6%. So the small cap EV stocks are thriving right now. And I think this is only the beginning of the run for a lot of these. A few of these, XL Fleet, I'm just going to go show you, you know, some of these are up. Let's do these two. This is Arrow, which I talk a lot about in the Discord, and I've done a bunch of videos on. So let me get more precise than that. So from the low to today's high, and, you know, we closed a little off of the high. In the last 2 weeks, Arrow is up over 50%. So that is a massive, massive swing to the upside. But the thing is, it's up 50%, but it's at $1.37. So if I zoom out, like, this is what I like about these stocks. And I know I've had to wait for it, and, you know, they've really taken a beating. And a lot of times this is how it goes. You just, you know, if you're a longer-term investor, a couple of months of stuff moving in the wrong direction happens. This was February 10th, 2021. So this was just over a year ago. So let's do that again. So still, even now, after we just saw, and you can, it almost looks like nothing when I zoom out, but Arrow's up 50% in the last 2 weeks, and it's still down 88% from its high. So for me, I'm sitting on Arrow at $1.37. I don't think it's getting back necessarily to $11, but very realistic to think that it's going to maybe get to $3 or $4 or even $5 where it was, you know, in June. So, you know, those are double, triple, quadruple scenarios, and we just went up 50%. So we'll see, and that doesn't happen overnight. You know, the Arrow is one I plan on holding for a long time. So today just happened to be an awesome day for Arrow. But Jeff's asking, how will the small cap EVs respond to the rare earth mineral prices going parabolic? Do you think they will get priced out of the game for raw materials? I mean, obviously that is not good. I don't know how long that issue is going to last, but that is a big issue right now. And I feel like some of these, there's a lot of battery technology that is trying to get away from some of these rare earth materials because, number one, they're just what they sound like. They're very rare. A lot of them are, the big deposits are in places that are not very friendly necessarily to U.S. companies right now. And so I do think that's one piece of their cost. And obviously the battery is a big piece of the cost, but I think, yes, I think they'll all, I won't say all. I think the ones that are going to win are still going to win in spite of the fact that they will take some hit from these rising prices. And there's going to be rising prices in everything right now. Hey, Mike, thanks for joining. There's going to be rising prices all over the place. The world is very disrupted, as you guys know, at the moment. So it could get worse before it gets better. And what I'm worried about even more than the rare earth minerals is oil, because when oil spirals, and I'm worried it's about to spiral, we're at $125 a barrel. If it spirals up, there's no industry that's safe from that, unfortunately. Mike's asking, do you think gold will continue to rise? I think in the short term, it's going to continue to rise. It's funny because, there's gold. You guys have probably seen them. There's gold bugs, they call them, that, they're always saying, you got to buy gold, you got to buy gold. And really, that has not been a fantastic strategy over the last 20 years. But right now, silver, gold, and oil are the best three performing things across all the markets everywhere. And I think that is going to hold up for as long as there's so much massive uncertainty in the world. We have a war in the Ukraine that, is that going to last another week or 5 more years? I don't know. That's not my domain, so I don't know what the answer to that question is. But the longer that lasts, I think gold is going to be a safe haven. I mean, this is like old school. We haven't really seen a lot of this over the years recently, but yeah, it is clear people are moving to gold. And I really think at some point people are going to move to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has not gotten that momentum as a safe haven yet. It's still considered a risk-on trade, but I think that's a short-term thing because it really makes no sense. It's either a risk-off trade or it's nothing, is basically the way I look at Bitcoin. So 2010 gold buyers just turned even this week. Right. See, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's one of those age-old strategy. Oh, have 10% of your portfolio in gold. If you go to anybody who's passed their Series 7 license, they're going to tell you, oh, you should have 10% of your money in gold, and you got to have gold. But it really has been a very poor strategy for a long time now. 2022, and we're only a couple of months in, but all of a sudden, for some reason, in 2022, all of a sudden, it's like it's 1978 again. We're flocking back to gold. Eric said gold is useless. Yeah, exactly. Gold is useless. I mean, it has some uses, but that's not where it derives its value from. It's a store of value. And I just feel like at some point, Bitcoin is going to take over for gold. Right now, there's enough very wealthy people that are still old school enough that with this level of fear and uncertainty and, war happening with the potential for it to spread and oil spiraling up to $125 a barrel. It's very rare that oil gets up to $125 a barrel. And if it gets to $150, it's going to be a big problem, and it could get past that. So, you know, most of Europe is still on Russian oil right now. And if they try to go to a situation where they go off of that oil, you know, it's going to be, forget all the politics about it. I'm just talking about the financial end of it. If the world is not using Russia's oil, that is going to, you know, you're talking potentially $200 a barrel oil or worse. So that's a scary proposition, and I think that's what's driving people to gold right now. Hopefully none of that happens. You know, those are always all the worst case scenarios. Everything, you know, we're used to things finding a way to work themselves out sooner than later. So, and the market recovering sooner than later. But it's been a tough run. We're a year into a pretty tough run in the market right now. Eric Brown saying Bitcoin, exactly. Mike saying blockchain technology will take the market by storm. I agree. I think it's only a matter of time, and it's happening right now, and blockchain is going to change the way a lot of this stuff works. Mike's saying Mara, Hut 8, and Riot. So I agree with those. And Barry is saying Europe is not on Russia's oil too much. It's the gas. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oil, gas, coal, all that I kind of lumped together in my mind. But yes, you're right. Gold price is, Mike is saying, gold price is fake to trap people's liquidity. Then Bitcoin will rocket to 100K and then 500K in 2 years. So I vote yes on that, Mike. If my vote counts for anything, that would be a beautiful thing. So everybody now the thought of Bitcoin 100,000 is like off the table. But if you remember, for the last year, everybody thought it was a foregone conclusion that Bitcoin was going to run straight to 100,000. So it's been a bumpy road, but I think 100,000 is still a number that we're going to get to at some point. It's taking longer than we thought. We're having a lot of ups and downs in Bitcoin. We're in the 38,000 range right now, which I know nobody's probably too happy with, pushing 39,000, but still, we were at 69,000 3 months ago. So, at 69,000, 100 looked like it was in sight. At 39,000, it looks like it's way off in the distance, but just look forward 1 year. There's every chance that 1 year from now we'll be at $100,000 Bitcoin, in my opinion. Government's not helping the oil surge. The UK has plenty of oil and gas. Net zero, green agenda. Prefer to buy oil elsewhere. Ridiculous. Eric, yeah, I agree with that. That's a part of the frustration. I'll tell you, I was going to do, and I may still do it. Elon Musk put out a bunch of tweets, and I don't usually talk about other people's tweets and that kind of stuff, but to me it was very compelling because there's a man he's the wealthiest man in the world. His wealth is tied directly to the more oil goes up, the wealthier he gets. And even he put out a tweet that said, listen, we got to start drilling, desperate times cause for desperate measures. So, I think we may get to that at some point where UK and the US and some other places start to produce more oil to make up for the gap, because we can't, the market can't function. The entire market cannot function at oil $200. Eric's saying, imagine the price of the miners at 100K. That's exactly what that's why I am buying and holding. So, I averaged in on some stuff again today. I missed yesterday. Yesterday there was some opportunities, and today was a little tougher, but I did get some Hive today. So they put out their February results, and it was good stuff. They actually mined, and they do a combination of Ethereum and Bitcoin, but when they convert it to Bitcoin equivalents, they actually mined more than Marathon did last month. So they had a really good month, and they closed out their $100 million at the market shelf offering. So I think it's always good for a company to get to the end of those so that it's not looming over their head. So I bought some Hive for those reasons today. Right. Barry saying, look at nickel. Bitcoin's only one short squeeze from 100K. That's exactly right. Jeff saying, I believe Bitcoin will replace the bond markets more than gold. Yeah, and I mean, I don't think gold is going away. You know, gold's, I think, 11 trillion, it may be up to $12 trillion now. So I'm not saying it's going away. I just think that, thanks, Eric, I appreciate it. I just think that Bitcoin is a superior version of gold. So the two can exist in the same universe. So gold doesn't have to go away for Bitcoin to get where it's going. And the bond market, you're right. The bond markets to me are not worth wasting anybody's time in from my perspective. So I don't understand who's dealing in all these bonds. I think it's certainly not retail investors. Yeah, Mike, Elon Musk asking for more oil. That's what I'm saying. That got my attention. It's like when Elon Musk is tweeting that, I got to pay attention, and something must be going on, because obviously, and then the following tweet, he said, obviously this is very bad for Tesla if we do that, but, it's just what's got to be done. He needs oil for his rockets. That's true. I don't know what that's a derivative of, the jet fuel or the rocket fuel. I think I'd prefer to live on Mars at the moment. Yeah. Yeah, well, these are strange days and stressful. I know it's stressful. I feel it on the channel. I feel it in the comments section. And that's why I'm doing some of these live streams. And I'm testing out different times. I don't know what the best time is. If you guys just want to drop in the chat what time you would prefer I do a live stream, because I'm trying to make it convenient for, everybody else, but I'm just not sure what the answer is. So I'd love to do it like right after 4 o'clock, just right when the market closes. But I feel like, people may be working or have other responsibilities at that time. So anybody, if you have an opinion, you can let me know in the chat as to what time you think I should do live streams, because I think I'm going to do more live streams. And I'll get George on here sometimes. For those of you who are new, you won't know who George is, but you can look at our Friday. George shows up for all the Friday live streams, and he has his own opinion on matters. Yeah, Jeff, you're saying, like, to buy 10-year treasuries just seems silly for 2%. And that's why I think there's a huge narrative. If you guys remember, when they were ticking up from 1.6% to 1.8%, people were losing their mind. And it's like, guys, nobody's bailing out of equities or cryptocurrencies because they can now get, 2% instead of 1.8% if they lock their money up for the next 10 years. That's a very small group of people. So I think the impact, there are several things that we obsess over for, when they happen. The CPI is one of them. You can bet everybody's going to lose their mind on Thursday. Right, but we already know I think they're expecting it to be 7.9. So if it's 8, they're gonna act like the Earth just shook under our feet, and it's like 7.9, 8. That's within the margin of error. 8.1, it's high. Just say it's high. We know it's high. We know it's going to be a bad number, and what's 4 or 5 months from now, if it's 8 or worse, then that's going to start to have an impact. But that's already baked into the market right now. And again, the NASDAQ and the Russell are in bear market territory right now. Yeah, so if Bitcoin takes over the bond market, then yeah, there's a massive amount of money in them, and I don't think the bond market is going away. I don't know who's buying these bonds. I think it's mostly retirement accounts, municipalities, there's a market out there. I don't really think it's the institutional buyers either, because they're not 2% is not helping them. And they're not locking money up for that long of a period of time anyway. But the bond market seems to persist. It's good for something for somebody. So, oh, Eric, are you in the UK? It's midnight right now. Okay, all right. Wow. So yeah, that's part of the problem. Is it's it's not the same time everywhere. So it's too. I know there's a couple of people that already said they had to go to bed. So this may be too late. Jeff saying, I love George. I'll let him know that. He might be watching for all I know. Yeah. George, I've known George since we were kids. He's a funny guy. Better buy SPY right now than 10-year buy. Yeah, exactly. So those are all the things. The 10-year bond is a mystery. And if you remember, we spent like a month obsessing over the 10-year bonds. It was like, oh, the 10-year bonds are at 1.7%. They're at 1.8%. The market's going to crash. It's like those two things do not equal each other at all. Okay, Jeff saying, my thesis with the bond market is major countries will issue bonds backed by Bitcoin for higher yields. Oh, that's interesting. That would be nice. Eric, you're saying this time's okay right now? All right, I feel like this is about as late as I can go, and maybe I need to go a little earlier. The Bitcoin miners will be worth a lot. I'll tell you, I'm just going to bring it up. I don't know if anybody saw this. Somebody mentioned it in our Discord. There was Meet Kevin. You guys probably know who Meet Kevin is. If you don't, he's a big YouTuber. He had an interview with Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. And Kevin O'Leary said something that I took massive exception to. And I may even do a video on it, because he was very adamant about it. And basically he was saying all the North American Bitcoin miners are going to go to zero because they're not clean energy. And, he had this whole... that's why I want to do a video. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'd like to show exactly what he said and then respond to it, because I thought it was absolutely, absolutely ridiculous. So I don't think it made any sense at all. And for somebody like that, like, he's an influencer. And to say something like that, he specifically said that he sold his Hive, Marathon, and Riot because they're dirty miners. So, that's his opinion. But he said a lot more than that, and it didn't make any sense to me. So maybe you guys... I'd like to show it to everybody, so I think I'm going to do a video, just show everybody what he said, and you guys can tell me what you think, because I think it was bizarre. Mike, I am somewhere warm and sunny, so... But, it's too hot in the summer. How about that? Actually, I don't complain about the weather here ever. I'm in Florida, so I will never complain about the weather. Jeff, not liking Meet Kevin, it looks like to me. He's a clown. Well, he dyed his hair pink and then he dyed his hair green, so he kind of is a clown in that regard. But it was Kevin O'Leary that was saying this, and people don't think he's a clown. So when he says stuff like that, I think it's not right. O'Leary probably shorting them. Yeah, he is a globalist. That's my point. And he was actually pointing towards other countries' Bitcoin miners as being the green miners, and ours need to go away. So and again, I don't want to put words in his mouth, so I'm gonna show you guys this, because And you can go check it out. It's on Meet Kevin's channel. I don't want to speak for Kevin O'Leary, but I think based on what he said, it would be fair to infer that he is a globalist. Jeff saying, I'm with him on Mara. I don't get the strategy they deploy. You know, Mara definitely, they might be the furthest behind in the clean energy battle. And I think they lined up, because remember, even Marathon, 13 or 14 months ago, they had 0.2 exahash of Bitcoin miners. So, you know, they did have the foresight to raise the money and order massive amounts of machines. They're sitting on 60,000 machines that aren't even plugged in, because their problem is now they don't have the energy infrastructure to run all these machines. So they're being forced to use, you know, quote unquote, unclean energy. So, and they still can't plug all their machines in. So they are lagging behind. I think they'll catch up, and I think everybody will try to get better. But yeah, Marathon is probably the least, and I don't know that for a fact, but they're amongst the least green at the moment. And I think they have plans to get green. And Kevin O'Leary's big point was buying carbon credits does not count. So anybody that's buying carbon credits, he said, that's a farce. And Kevin O'Leary should like Bitfarms. So I think he was part of Elon Musk FUD. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he did not. Earlier, he mentioned, you know, the one that I took offense to. I don't know if that's the right word. You know, he was talking about Hut 8 earlier. Now, he did not say that he sold his Hut 8. He specifically said he sold his Hive and his Marathon and his Riot. But he was kind of lumping everybody in together and saying anybody that couldn't. His thing was, he said, there's going to be a carbon audit, and no big investment firm is going to invest in anybody that doesn't pass their carbon audit. So basically, you know, if you listen to him, if you're not 100% carbon neutral without buying carbon offsets, then you're dirty. That was his word. You're a dirty company. Yeah, Marathon is going to be massive by 2023. That's the thing. Their infrastructure, and it's no surprise. I mean, I spent a bunch of years in the construction world, and nothing finishes on time. So, you know, they tried to line everything up so that their miners would come in simultaneously with their infrastructure being built out, and, you know, no surprise, the construction's taking too long. So they'll catch up. Yeah, and he didn't say, Jeff saying, good thing we're bullish on CleanSpark. He didn't say anything about CleanSpark at all. CleanSpark, I think CleanSpark is clean. I think Hut 8 is clean. I think Bitfarms is clean. Are they 100%? No, but they're very, CleanSpark says they're 95% green. So, I don't know exactly how to verify those numbers, but I think the three of those companies, and there are other ones that are trying very hard to be green, and they're moving towards. And I think as long as everybody, that's going to be some of the government regulations that come into play probably. But it's not going to be, there's no way it's going to be, you must be 100% green and you're going to get a carbon audit. That's just not going to happen. Eric saying, I'm not watching Kevin after he pulled the market before telling his community to borrow money left, right. And yeah. For him to pull out of the market, that was not a good look for him at all. And I know he continues to try to justify it. And even if it ended up being a good strategy, it goes against what he's been talking about every day for years. So sitting on inventory is death to a business. Jeff, I'm not sure if you're talking about the miners for Marathon or something else. Yeah, I don't know. That, like, I don't know what the carbon credit situation is. I've often wondered, like, okay, now you pay money and now you're carbon neutral. I don't know. And I know Hut 8 was very sensitive to that because they said they're going to have to do some buying, of carbon credits. And they specifically talked about, we want to make sure we're buying the right ones and that they're really accomplishing what they say they're accomplishing. Yeah, for Mara. Yeah, I mean, sitting on 60,000 machines, and it's probably more than that now. That's what it was in the January update. I don't know if they mentioned it in the February update. If government bonds are correlated to Bitcoin, the government will look after the miners. Yeah, I just don't think the governments are going to come after the miners. I think, we're going to get an executive order that's going to be very generic, and this thing's going to sort itself out over time. And for as long as that's happening, that's all FUD that's in the market as well. I mean, we couldn't have more fear and uncertainty in the market. And I should never say never because everything can always get worse. But we got stuff coming at us from every direction, putting pressure on the market and on Bitcoin. I would hold BTC for the miners, especially at this BTC price. It creates stability. And a lot of the, there's a few, CleanSpark notably has not been hodling, but they did say they were going to have a mixed strategy of holding some and using some. And I think a lot of these other guys are going to be big enough where they're going to be able to cover their overhead with a small percentage of the Bitcoin that they mine. So they're going to be able to hold a lot of, because they can't keep borrowing money and issuing equity forever, right? I mean, they can't, 5 years from now, they still can't just be hodling 100% and issuing more stock. So at some point, they're going to have to use some, but hopefully if these guys get to the exahash rates that they're talking about, if they can spend, if they spend 10 or 15% of their Bitcoin and they save the rest, that's a great, that their balance sheets are going to be monstrously strong. Yeah, marathons they literally don't have the stuff built. They're building the buildings to put their miners in, and they're just behind. I mean, I do not see. I think he said BlackRock was talking about doing carbon audits, and I know BlackRock has a lot of money and they're investing in everything under the sun, but there's an awful lot of money beyond that. And the bottom line is, as long as these guys are being responsible, if they're making money, people are going to invest in them. That is how the market has always worked. I mean, if they're blatantly ignoring and they're truly dirty companies, then ESG is important and that will come back to bite them. But if they're making an honest effort and they're moving in the right direction, I don't think it's going to be an issue, in my opinion. Oh, my average Bitfarm price, and I have it in a couple of different accounts. I'm over $4. I think I'm over somewhere like 453 maybe or something like that. So on Bitcoin, that's on the Bitcoin itself. I do a lot of options as well. So sometimes I've done well on the Bitfarms options and sometimes I've been left holding the bag. But my my stock is somewhere around 450. So I'm still red. It's at Bitfarms is at 334 right now. Eric's saying Mara is a company that you look at in 5 years and their market cap is 5x, but their share price is the same. I mean, that's the worry. Then you made nothing. So I have been tracking market cap. So I'm going to put I'm going to put that from now on. I am monthly going to show market cap to market cap, because I know a lot of people, it is very confusing to look at stock price. Sometimes the stock price, you know, you're going, well, it was $30 and now it's 12, but you know, there was a lot of liquidity or a lot of dilution in the middle. So I'm going to try to do a thing that compares apples to apples on a monthly basis for all the Bitcoin miners. I do that for myself. So, and I try to show that in my videos. I go to some other charts where I show, like, this is not down just because of dilution. It's down because the market cap is 25% of what it used to be. Marathon's a perfect example. They were, on November 9th, they were $7.5 billion market cap company. And now they're around $2 billion. So even though they have done a bunch of dilution, the decrease in their stock price is mostly due to the fact that their market cap is just down huge. An awful lot of majority of the miners we know today won't exist in 5 years. Well, I do. Some are going to survive and some are not going to survive. And that's the funny thing. If you look at all these miners, no two miner has the exact same plan. Everybody's got a little bit of a different spin on exactly how they want to get where they're going, how fast, how much they're willing to borrow, how much they're willing to dilute, and, you know, different streams of revenue. So you can't look at, you know, we all do one thing. I do it. I look at, oh, how many exahash do they have and how many Bitcoin are they mining? But there's so many more variables than that. You know, it's a fair way. That's one of the things to look at. But some of these strategies are going to work out and some of them aren't going to work out. And I think one of the things is they're going to have enough exahash with the difficulty level going up and then the reward getting cut in half in a couple of years. If you're not above a certain exahash, you're just not going to be making enough money for it to matter. You're $4 on Bitfarm, so you're a little better than I am. I mean, I've averaged myself down to, I was higher than that, so, but I'm still, I'm almost positive I'm over 450. Mike saying Merrill will be $1,000 stock in a few years. I don't, if they, you know, it all depends. If they can do everything, a lot of these guys, if they do exactly what they said they're going to do, their stock is going to go up a lot. And this is one of the things I talked about Riot a few times. I was not a huge fan of Riot, but I will tell you, their last 4 or 5 monthly updates in a row, they are doing exactly what they said they were going to do. So that is giving me a lot of confidence in them. And they're, you know, they're growing their exahash rate. So they say they're going to be at a certain rate, and they're usually within, you know, 0.1 exahash of where they were targeting each month. And their Bitcoin mining is going up. So I like what they're doing, and they're at $15. Their market cap is at like 1.7 billion or something like that. It's in my opinion, that stock is undervalued. So there's some of these, the more information that a company gives, the more you can figure out what they're doing, the more comfort I have as an investor. And to me, Riot not only gives the information on a monthly basis, but they're doing what they said they were going to do. Miners will undergo massive consolidation before the next halving, in my opinion, said Jeff. That's quite possible. I mean, the next halving is going to be, if Bitcoin hasn't gone up in price significantly, you're going to have a lot of hash rate to make it worth your while to be in this game. And the price of Bitcoin is just something we don't know the future. So I think I know where it's going. I know where I believe it's going, but we won't know until we get there. Yeah, so they're saying, Mike said, some crypto won't exist in a number of years. I think there will be a lot of cryptos that don't exist. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of crypto, you know, altcoins right now. in my mind, it's too much. I think there's going to be a handful of big winners, and there'll be another group that sticks around, and then I think a lot of that group will fade away. Eric's saying Riot is cheap. I agree. Abe is saying, and Mara question mark. What are your thoughts? My thoughts just in general on Mara? My thoughts in general, if you have a more specific question, you can tell me. But my thoughts in general on Mara are I would like to see them. They're not doing what they said they were going to do. However, they can get back onto their schedule. So they've been buying all the machines that they said they were going to buy, but they're all in storage right now. So if over the next 90 or 100 days, they can plug, they got, between the machines that are already sitting there and the ones that they're going to get, it's probably going to be about 80,000 machines that they need to get plugged in the next 100 days. If they do that, or even if it takes them 120 or whatever it is, if they do that, then their exahash is going to be at a spot that, you know, they'll be right back where everybody wanted them to be, and they are cheap right now. They're $22. I think also, and I know a lot of people are very mad at Core Scientific right now, and I was not pleased, and I am baffled at their decision to end the lockup period early. But although I don't like that decision, the rest of what they're doing, I mean, those guys are monsters. So they're right now their market cap is lower than Marathon's. I think they went to 1.99 million at one point. They might be over, well, they're definitely over 2 million, billion. They're definitely over 2 billion now because they had a huge day today. Yeah, so 2.28 billion. So still, for Core Scientific, I mean, they've got over 8 exahash of their own mining machines right now. And then I think another 7 that they're charging money for hosting. So this is a very big company, and they're talking about being at a combined 40 or 42 exahash at the end of the year, at least 20 of which will be their own machines that are mining. That's, so to me, if they do that, and Marathon has similar plans, you know, by mid-2023, they want to be at 23.3 exahash. So, you know, if they stay on that path, then they're way undervalued. But if they can't execute, that's what it's going to be about for a lot of these companies. Did they make the right plan, and can they execute their plan? So that's why some of these newer companies that haven't even mined a single Bitcoin yet worry me, because they're already so far behind companies like Marathon and Riot and Core Scientific, and even really, you know, Bitfarms, CleanSpark, Hut, Hive. Those guys all have, you know, they're getting sizable at this point. It's going to get harder and harder to catch up. Zach and Matt over at CleanSpark are watching the Marathon machines rot away, waiting to scoop them at a discount. Well, if that's what happens, that's what happens. I mean, I love CleanSpark. You guys, I did an interview with Isaac from CleanSpark, and you know, he was great, and that's one of my bigger positions. So, hey, if they get to scoop some up at a cheap price, so be it. I know that CleanSpark is doing something. Mike is saying a solar panel facility would be good. They're doing something in Georgia with solar panels, CleanSpark. And I am going to go to their facility in Georgia, and we'll do a couple of live streams maybe, or record some videos from there and just look at their operations, because that was a nice offer they made, so I want to take them up on that. Gregory's saying, thoughts on Riot? This is my biggest miner holding. Average at about $22. So that's not bad. I mean, I know they're at 15 right now, but a lot of people are averaged in worse than $22. I talked about them a little earlier. I like what they're doing. I think they're right on plan. I think they are undervalued at $15. I think that's a, you know, that's going to be multiples bigger, in my opinion. So I think you're just fine at $22. That's a number they could get to quickly. I think $24, when I did my marathon analysis, I felt like they should be at $24 right now, and they're at $15. So to me, that's how much they're undervalued at the moment, in my opinion. And that'll only get worse and worse, so. Yeah, and Riot has plans to be at 12.8 exahash by the end of the year. So, you know, if they execute that plan like that at 12.8 exahash, and they've been very efficient miner with their machines. They don't have a lot of downtime and all that stuff, so I think they're going to be in great shape. And like I said, out of everybody, out of all the miners, they seem to be the one most on their plan. They have an extremely specific plan, and they seem very close to exactly on plan. So I feel good about them. That's one of the positions that I hold. I think I'm up to 8 miners. I can't hold them all. I'm already feel like I'm juggling too many with 8. But I think these are at a great value in my opinion. You know, if Bitcoin's at 500K, then we're talking about numbers that are so many multiples bigger than this. I think Bitcoin could get to 500,000 in 5 years, but I don't do any of my modeling around Bitcoin at 200,000 or 500,000 or $1 million. I try to keep 80 as a maximum because in my mind, you know, if these guys, especially by the time the halving comes, I really think Bitcoin needs to be around 80,000 for these guys' business model to be making enough money to keep trading at the multiples that they're trading at right now. So I look at 40,000 to 80,000 over the next couple years. If it runs to 200,000 or 500,000, then yeah, these guys are all going to 10x or 15x or whatever because remember, it's all profit. It's all profit after that. The difference between $50,000 Bitcoin and a $500,000 Bitcoin is $450,000 of extra profit per Bitcoin. You know, and obviously the difficulty rate will go up accordingly, and that will adjust it a small amount, but by and large, the profit margins are massive on these for these Bitcoin miners. Mara is hodling, and I hope at some point they do what I talked about. My preferred strategy, and I don't know that any of them are going to do this, is to get to a point where with 10 or 15% of their Bitcoin, they can run their operations. So they're cash flow positive because it isn't. This is still a stock. It's an equity. They should be cash flow positive. So you can't go 5 years with being cash flow negative. It's for as long as you hold all of your Bitcoin, every single month you're cash flow negative. So I would like to see them all get to a point where they can hold the majority of their Bitcoin, but sustain their business and be cash flow positive. To me, that's like the first benchmark of when these are going to start to explode. And they've definitely stalled this. Yeah, they're like early ETFs, which is another thing that's looming out there. If and when the US ever approves an actual ETF for Bitcoin, that will have a massive impact because there are an awful lot of investors and money that, you know, they're not going to open a Coinbase account and go buy Bitcoin, but they will buy an ETF. $100 trillion bond market moving over to Bitcoin. That would be nice. I'll take 10 trillion of it moving over. That would be, we'd all hit Grand Slam home runs if that happened. All right, so it's just coming up on an hour, so I'm going to wrap it up. Any last thoughts? And let me know if you guys want me to do this earlier or what your thoughts are. Thanks, everybody, for stopping in and chatting with me. And thanks for the views on the videos, and thanks for the comments on the videos. I really appreciate it. I recognize most of your names. You guys are regulars and leaving comments, which I really appreciate. So thanks so much. All right, so everybody have a good night, and thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in some videos tomorrow. And, you know, if something interesting happens, I'll try and do a live stream and give some notice this time. Thanks a lot, and have a good night.